Hi, 7th graders. Today we're going to do lesson 1.8, all about scaling states. So you get the option if you want to just watch the video, that's totally fine. If you would also like to follow along, you can log into Desmos and then split your screen. The option is yours, but I do want to remind you if you do log into Desmos, it might not look exactly the same because I made that one and this one's a paper lesson. So it might not be exactly the same, but it should be pretty similar. All right, let's start with our warm-up. It says there are 62 national parks in the United States. Marco is designing a scaled drawing of Utah to promote Utah's national parks. I want you to just take a second and think about what you think the shape of Utah looks like. Well, to me, Utah looks like a rectangle with a piece missing out of the upper right-hand corner. Number 2, what information would you need in order to create a scaled drawing of the state? Well, we need all of the measurements for Utah. We need to know the length and the width, and we also need to know the measurements for that chunk that is missing. All right, moving on to activity 1. These are the actual dimensions of Utah. So if you take a look, we have 350 miles, 270 miles, 70 miles, and 110. All right, let's keep moving. Activity 1, Marco is designing an image to help promote Utah's national parks. His image includes a scale drawing of the state and the 5 national parks within it. Number 1, in order to fit the image on the flyer, Marco draws a 7-centimeter line for Utah's western edge. The actual length of Utah's western edge is 350 miles. We need to figure out what scale Marco uses. Well, remember, when we're talking scale, it's our drawing over the actual, so how big it actually is. So in our drawing, it's 7 centimeters. And then in real life, if we go back up, it's actually 350 miles. All right, so there is one scale. Now we could simplify this and make it much easier. Well, let's try dividing both numbers by 7. It's always easiest when the top number is a 1 or a small number. So let's divide both of them by 7. Well, 7 divided by 7 is 1 centimeter. And then 350 divided by 7 is 50 miles. So here's a simplified scale that Marco used. He said for every 1 centimeter, it was 50 miles in real life. All right, number 2, we need to help Marco complete his scale drawing by determining the rest of the lengths of Utah's outline. So if we take a look, we need to fill in all of those numbers. So let's start moving to the bottom. So we know that the bottom edge is 270 miles. So we're going to set up our butterfly. We're talking centimeters and miles. And we know our scale is 1 centimeter to 50 miles. And then, sorry, I can't remember, the bottom edge is 270 miles. So that goes on the bottom, X on top, we do our butterfly. 1 times 270 is 270. 50 times X is 50X. We divide both sides by 50. 270 divided by 50 gives us 5.4 centimeters for our bottom. Right here, this is 5.4. Okay, now we're just going to continue doing the exact same thing. So we're going to set up our butterfly again. We're still doing centimeters and miles. And we use our scale, which was 1 centimeter is 50 miles. All right, so now we need to figure out how long from here to here is on our picture. Well, let's go up to our park. We know that the whole thing is 350. I just want from here to here. So that means I need to take 350 minus this piece right here, which was 70. Well, 350 minus 70 gives me 280. So that is 280 miles, which is what we're going to put down here on our butterfly. Okay, X on the top, we do our butterfly. 1 times 280 is 280. 50 times X equals 50X. We divide both sides by 50. So we need to take 280 divided by 50, and I get 5.6. and then we're talking centimeters. Okay, so let's fill that in on our picture, 5.6. Okay, now let's do this little part here. We're going to set up our butterfly for it. We're still talking centimeters and miles. And then we still use our scale, which was 1 centimeter to 50 miles. And now we have to go look at our top picture, and it was 110 miles. So that would go on the bottom of our butterfly. X on top, we do our butterfly. 1 times 110 is 110. 50 times x equals 50x. We divide both sides by 50. So I need to do 110 divided by 50, and I get 2.2 centimeters. That's what goes right here. All right, we have 2 left. Let's do this little side here. Again, we're going to set up our butterfly. We're still doing centimeters and miles, and we still had that 1 centimeter is 50 miles. So now let's look up at the top. That little section is 70 miles, so that's what we would put on the bottom.
Can we have a middle school custodian head to gym 4? Thank you.
All right, so now we do our butterfly. 1 times 70 equals 70. 50 times x equals 50x, and then we divide both sides by 50. So 70 divided by 50 gives us 1.4 centimeters for our answer. All right, and then we have 1 left to do, and that is this part right here. So we're going to set up our butterfly. We're still doing centimeters and miles. Our scale was still 1 centimeter is 50 miles. Now we need to figure out this section. So if we look back at our big picture, we know that the whole thing is 270. So we need to take 270 minus, we know that this part's 110. So we'll subtract them, and we get 160 is what this section is. So that is what we put on the bottom. Whoopsies. 160, x on the top. Just make sure, yep. All right, so we do our butterfly. 1 times 160 is 160. 50 times x is 50x. Divide both sides by 50. 160 divided by 50 gives us 3.2 centimeters. And that is the end of our scale drawing. Okay, so we are done with activity 1. Moving on to activity 2, this time it says Marco will print his design on different products, t-shirts, post-it notes, phone cases, etc. We're not going to work with the group, we're just going to do 1 scale drawing. So let's take a look, and let's do number or letter A, 1 centimeter to 35 miles. Okay, so we're just going to very quickly make our little scale drawing. So when we do it, we're going to continue doing the same process, except this time our scale is 1 centimeter to 35 miles. So let's set up our butterfly. We'll start with this edge over on the left-hand side. We're doing centimeters to miles. Our scale was 1 centimeter to 35 miles. Now we have to go way back up to the top, and we need to figure out how long that big distance was, and it was 350. So 350 would go on the bottom, x on top, we do our butterfly. 1 times 350 is 350. 35 times x, 35x. We divide both sides by 35, and we get 10 centimeters as our answer. So this would be 10 centimeters in our picture. Okay, let's do the same thing for the bottom. I'm not going to do all the sides because it's pretty much the same process, but I do want to do 1 more. So we're still doing centimeters to miles, and we picked our scale of 1 centimeter to 35 miles. So that's what's going to go here. And now we have to go to the very top and figure out what that bottom one was again. And it was 270 miles. So that's going to go on the bottom, x on top. 1 times 270 is 270. 35 times x is 35x. We divide both sides by 35. So 270 divided by 35 gives me a not great number, but we'll just round to the nearest hundredth. So that's the second number after the decimal point to 7.71. and we are talking centimeters. So that would be our answer for right here. So then 7th graders, you would just complete the process to figure out the other 3 sides or 4 sides, but we will not do that in the rest of the video. All right, moving on, activity 3, it says the western edge of Nevada is approximately 200 miles. Haley created a scale drawing of Nevada where the western edge measured 5 centimeters. We need to figure out the scale that she used. So remember, our scale is always our drawing over the actual, how far it is in real life. Well, in our drawing, it said that it was 5 centimeters. But in real life, it was 200 miles. Now, those are some pretty big numbers, or that 200 is pretty big, so we can simplify this, and I always like to divide by the top number. So let's divide both of them by 5. Well, 5 divided by 5 is just 1 centimeter. 200 divided by 5 would be 40 miles, and that is the scale that Haley used. All right, moving on, let's take a look at activity 3. Marco is making different size t-shirts to feature Great Basin National Park in Nevada. His design below is a scale drawing that uses the scale 1 centimeter to 50 miles. Number 1 says if Marco uses the scale 3 centimeters to 100 miles, are the distances going to be shorter, longer, or the same size as the distances in the drawing above? Well, I like to make them the same when I do this. I like to draw a little picture. So if we take a look at Marco's scale was 1 centimeter equals 50. So I'm just going to draw a little picture. 1 centimeter equals 50. Okay, if I have 2 centimeters, that would equal 100. Okay, but now if we look at this second one, this scale now is 3 centimeters to 100 miles. So what that means is we're going to draw 3 of these, and this whole thing equals 100. So if we take a look, are the distances in this new scale longer, shorter, or the same size? Well, I noticed that they are much longer. So that is your answer for number 1. Alrighty then, question number 2 is asking you to make a scale drawing of Nevada using the scale 3 centimeters to 100 miles. We are going to skip that, and we're actually going to skip activity 4. I want us to take a look at our cool down. It says Aaliyah is making a map of the local park. The park has a rectangular swimming pool that measures 50 meters in length and 25 meters in width. Make a scale drawing of the swimming pool where 1 centimeter equals 10 meters. Label the side lengths of your scale drawing. All right, so I'm going to draw a little rectangle here. Here's our rectangular pool. It says that it's 50 meters in length and 25 meters in width. We want to know what it looks like in a picture. Okay, so we're going to set up our butterfly, and we are talking about centimeters and meters. We have to use our scale numbers first. It said 1 centimeter is 10 meters. And now let's start with our length. Let's start with this 50 meters. That would go on the bottom, x on top. 1 times 50 equals 50. 10 times x equals 10x. We divide both sides by 10, and we get x equals 5 centimeters. So this 50 meters is really 5 centimeters. Okay, we'll do it one more time for our width. Again, we're still doing centimeters and meters. We still had 1 centimeter for every 10 meters. And this time our width is 25 meters. So that would go on the bottom, x on the top. 1 times 25 equals 25. 10 times x equals 10x. Divide both by 10, and x equals 2.5 centimeters. So instead of it being 25 meters, it's really 2.5 centimeters. And that would be your answer. Now, if we were to actually draw this in real life, we would need a ruler and we would measure it. But just to save time, we're not going to do that. So that would be your answer for our cool down. So now your job is to work on the yuck, and then work on fact fluency, missing work, puzzles, prodigy, read, draw. If you have any questions, you can send me a message on Schoology and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.